Call this special meeting to order. The City Commission, Rio Grande City, Tuesday, March 13th, approximately 6:05 p.m. here in Commission Chambers, Rio Grande City, 5332 East US Highway 83. And at this time, we'll have the invocation by Commissioner Garza, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Jones.
All right. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the wonderful blessings that you bestowed on us. Thank you for the things you do for Rio Grande City, what you do for us. We thank you for blessing this great family we have in this community. We ask you, Lord, that you continue blessing us and watching over us and helping us move forward and progress this city even further. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee. Texas is one state, under God, one and indivisible.
This time we'll have roll call and finding of quorum. Ms. Peña?
Thank you. Mayor Villarreal.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Garza.
Here.
Commissioner Salinas. Commissioner Salinas is absent. Commissioner Ramirez.
Here.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. Next, business and orders, item 2, City Manager's Report, letter A, discussion and possible action to authorize staff to solicit bids for the rehabilitation lift stations project being funded by the Texas Water Development Board.
Mayor and the commissioners, we got our city engineer here. They've been working on the plans that were submitted to the state. Gilbert, you want to touch on that and the status?
Commissioners, you have a set of plans before you. What we've done is we went through the redesign of the lift stations to eliminate the dry wells and improve the safety component with the lift stations that were the original part of the project. In addition, we added the lift station at Ringo Park. The staff had commented they were having issues having to climb down and do maintenance on the pump where they were. So we've included that lift station as well in the project as far as, getting the pumps up to natural ground level and getting them out of the pit. We also added a gravity line over at the Solis lift station on the far west side off 3167 so that we could eliminate that one little grinder lift station that's servicing I think it's servicing the storage units and the Meldon and Hunt office, and by default the new apartments behind Sanchez, and it's overloaded. We have problems with that. So with the improvements we're making in Solis lift station and laying a gravity line, we can eliminate that one and just take it all to Solis. I had run some budgets earlier, and forgive me, I didn't bring the cost estimate with me, but what I have there is the package. I have estimated about 1.8, I believe it was, Elisa? It's a couple of $100,000 over what y'all have budgeted, but we're also breaking the bid out into alternates so that we have the flexibility to do what we can with what we got. In previous conversations with the Water Development Board, when we were talking about the previous bids, they had said that there was monies available on a loan basis, of course, if you needed a couple extra $100,000 to do what you wanted. And of course, once we get the bids in, we'll see where we're at, and y'all can make that decision. We'll be advertising this next Wednesday, tomorrow, the 14th. We'll advertise on the 21st. We're having a pre-bid at 10 o'clock on the 26th here in this room, and then we're opening bids on the 30th. Barring any unseen issues that we have to postpone the bid date, we're planning on opening bids on the 30th here at 3 o'clock.
And the schedule he just talked about is in the packet. You want to look at it, and plans are in front of you. If you have questions.
Have you identified the alternates, Gilbert?
I'm sorry, what?
The alternate lift stations, have you identified
Yes,
those?
they're in there as alternates.
But do you know
On
which-
the title, it was the same alternate y'all had on the previous bid package.
Oh, you have it.
And if you look on the title sheets and in the bid form, I don't have the bid form with me, but yeah.
And of course, we took into consideration all the stakeholders in this, as far as the individuals that are actually be working with these
Specifically,
stations, so.
sir. Yes, sir, 'cause
it
that's
was-
the biggest issue is the safety issue.
Okay, and really it was that input from everyone that's actually gonna be maintaining them and, okay.
Yes, sir.
So we're good with all that? Any other issues there? Everything has been identified?
And bringing everything up to meet the new requirement. We're improving the fences on the ones that we're just changing the pumps out. We're improving the fences. We're building 4 new lift stations, and we're rehabbing 4 and then eliminating 1.
So it's 4 new ones, 4 rehab,
Yes, sir.
and then eliminating that one.
Yes, and of that 4 that we're rehabbing, there's still 1, the Blue Bonnet lift station, that if we get the land acquired and everything else, you may want to do a new lift station there. And then we can bring that in based on whatever the budget does. Right now, it's being bid out as a rehab.
And by eliminating that one, but it's still gonna be sufficient with what we're doing there, though.
Oh, yes,
And
sir.
that will allow for future development in that area as well?
Yes.
Will address those needs?
You want to talk about which one is being eliminated and why?
The one that's being eliminated is the little grinder lift station that was servicing the storage units on 3167 in the Meldon and Hunt office. Well, now those apartments to the west of Sanchez are also hooked up in there. And since they hooked up, it's been overloaded. In fact, I think y'all had to do an emergency pump replacement, some other stuff. They've had some spills. It wasn't sized for that kind of capacity. Well, the lift station for Pete Solis, I designed it to include those, and then whatever comes in across the street, because that's going to go in there also. If and when that ever happens, whatever happens there, and some extra. So we have a lot of capacity in these lift stations.
And really is that take into consideration the capacity and future capacity of, again, future development in mind, so.
What we're doing right now you're pumping anywhere from 900,000 gallons to sometimes in the early months of the year, 1.3 million gallons a day. We have capacity in these lift stations, and that's not all of the city. We have capacity in these lift stations for, it's like 1.4 million. So they're
All we need
sized
now is to
right now,
improve
but
the
we're putting
treatment
in-
plant.
and they're expandable. You can add more capacity to them. That's what
So-
we're designing for pumping right now.
So on that end will be more than sufficient to manage future needs. It's just, I guess
Yes,
the
sir.
next phase would be the treatment plant to
In those areas,
expand
yes,
that.
sir.
All right.
But it's in essence most of the city. Of course, we're not taking into account the gravity lines that go direct to the plant. They don't go through the lift station.
Right.
But in essence, you're working all your older lift stations. The only other ones you have are the ones over at 755 and Eisenhower. That's a new lift station. The one at Ramirez is a relatively new lift station. It's functioning well.
The park is new.
The one at Hernandez Road is a relatively new lift station and it's functioning well. So, the one at the school is a new lift station. So you're working all the ones that needed help. As far as I can
Addressing
tell.
the ones that TCQ,
Yes, sir.
we're addressing those?
Yes. Yeah, we're in close communication with TCQ. We just did last week an agreed order was signed last week on the last stuff that came in. And we contacted them about our status with this project, and they understand where we are and where we need to be.
Perfect. I had a concern that we might hit water over at Pete Solis, in the Laguna Ranch area. That's what it's called, the Laguna, because we see there's areas where water's coming out of the ground. And we contracted, or the city contracted, Terracon to go out there and do bores there, and at the Los Garcias lift station. They didn't hit any water when they did the bores, so everything, and I haven't gotten the report yet. Have you received any? But from what they saw that day, there was no report of them having hit water, so we're good. That was the only concern I had. If they hit water at the depth that we're going, then that would add a little bit of cost to those particular ones. The other ones seem to be, they're high and dry. They're up in the upper banks.
And now, once the bids come in, what are we looking as far as timelines? What
The
what are we
contract,
shooting
what we're
for?
proposing is a 290 calendar day contract. So it's, almost a year. Because We're only doing 4 new wet wells at this point. The rest are rehabs. They're replacing the pumps and putting the new pumps in. The pump packages that we're specifying, we went with the triplex pumps. There's 3 pumps on each pad, on each package. What it does is, TCEQ requires that you be able to handle the peak flows with your largest pump out. So in other words, both pumps have to be able to handle peak flow.
Yeah.
But when you have 3 pumps, you can split that into 2. So you can go with smaller pumps that have better lift, that allows us to put the pumps on top and reach the depth that we need. And they're not as big motors, so they use less energy when they're pumping. So we're hoping to build, we're building in some cost savings there operationally anyway. And you can still handle everything else if you add the 3rd pump. You always have the 3rd pump in there.
So all 3 pumps are gonna be utilized?
Yes, sir. The control panel is set up to where they alternate. One runs, it'll pump it down, shuts off. The lift station fills up, the floats come on, it's time to pump again, the 2nd pump comes on, pumps it down, turns off. It fills up again, and the 3rd pump cycles. And when you have peak flows to where one pump comes on and what's coming in overpowers it and goes higher, then at that point, the 2nd pump comes on, kicks in, and then if it gets higher, you're in the 3rd pump. Once you get within 6 inches of your flow line of your line, then a high level alarm goes on. Because if your 3 pumps aren't handling the flows, then something's going on. All these lift stations will have SCADA packages. So we're gonna set it up to where, and it'll be up to all where you wanna monitor, whether here at the office or at the water plant, to where they're monitoring the lift stations. They'll be able to monitor how the pump's running, which ones are running, and whether there's any problem.
And this is in this phase, not a future phase.
This is now. It has to, because I take that back. TCQ doesn't require that. What they do require is the odor control, and that's being worked into these lift stations too. But no, the SCADA is being worked in as part of this
To be
package.
part of this.
So all the SCADA issues we had prior, they've been resolved at this point. I mean, we'll be
Yes, sir. Well, I put
addressing
together a
all the...
performance spec.
Okay.
The issues we had with the previous design is what we understood and what we heard was that the SCADA packages were $800,000 for the 7 lift stations. You were using half your budget just on the SCADA. And that's why prices were so high. Everything else was competitive as the
But that was
SCADA.
addressed now and we're still
And the
gonna be-
control panels.
Okay.
In this case, we put a performance spec out there and we'll let the people that design them and do it day in, day out and have to guarantee them. These packages that we specified have a 5-year guarantee, parts and labor
Okay.
on them. So, your normal guarantees are 12 months.
All right.
So we're hoping to bring the price down. That's why my estimate is 1.8, because we did add some extra stuff. We oversized some of the wet wells. The previous package, the wet well at Los Garcia is going to be an 8-foot diameter. We've got a 16-foot. So there's more capacity. It's a little bit deeper. If you're going to build it, might as well.
And really, that's the issue is, since we're in the process of taking care of this, might as well add the capacity feature to it, because the fact is we're gonna continue to grow and we're gonna continue
Yes,
to
sir. I
need
mean, the wet will cost a little bit more, but you still have to dig the hole the same depth. So there's not much difference. You might as well add what you can.
Right, perfect. Ms. Science, anything you would like to add?
Sir, just ready to move forward.
Fantastic.
I have one question, Mayor. Gilbert, you mentioned on the 3 pumps, the outflow pipe. What volume does it sustain, or can it has capacity for? And how many pumps running at one time will go through that pipe?
They'll handle, we've got them sized to where they handle them all. In fact, they all come off the header, I think with an 8-inch line or
An
6-inch
8-inch?
line.
Ah.
Yeah. The only thing that happens when you go with a small line is you add more head to the deal. So you're pumping a little bit less, but still when you add the say you have a pump rated at 800 gallons per minute. When you turn on the second one, even though it's rated for 800 gallons per minute, it's not going to pump 800 gallons per minute because there's 2 pipes in there or 2 in there. It may pump 650 gallons per minute. When you add the third one, it may go down to 500 gallons per minute. But between the three, at that point, you'll have 1,500 gallons per
Right.
minute.
But they can only pump only so much through that pipeline
Yeah,
now.
because of the friction head. As you add more resistance, if you will, more water going through the same space has more resistance, more back pressure, you're pumping less. The affinity curves.
Very good.
Anything else? We're good?
I move that we authorize staff to go out and solicit bids.
Okay, we have a motion.
Also on the motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Garza, a second by Commissioner Ramirez. Solicit the bids. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next business and orders item 2B, discussion and possible action to authorize staff to solicit bids for the EDA project activities.
Mayor and
we-
Commissioner, this item, it's recommended by staff to table it at this time.
If you would rather go into the executive session that deals with this project, Mayor, and therefore you can see the full report on it and the reasons why staff is recommending for it to
Okay.
be tabled.
At this time, we have a, Commissioners, a motion
I'll
to,
make the motion.
we have a motion to table this item.
I'll say.
We have a second by Commissioner Ramirez. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next business and orders item 3, contracts and agreements. Letter A, discussion and possible action to execute contract with SMB Infrastructure.
For the same reasons, Mayor, once you have a full report on the project, then you will know the reasons.
Okay. So then at this time, do we have a motion to table item 3A? Have a second by Commissioner Ramirez. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is item 3B, discussion and possible action to execute contract with EPG LLC for archaeological survey for the EDA project. 3B.
Mayor and Commissioners, you have a chart on the archaeological surveys that, proposals that were received. They were all good companies with sufficient experience. All of them have more than 30 years. They've all worked within the area. They all could start immediately, and we've been in communications with EPG, which is a firm that we're recommending. As far as a time frame, we are on a short deadline, and we need for them to finish this, within at least 20 to 25 days. They were giving up to 45, but as we move forward on the project, we're kind of asking them to shorten the time. And the conversations that we had this afternoon, Mr. Pettit and myself with Mr. Swanson, he feels that the majority of the time will be spent at the state agency, Texas Historical Commission, for the review, but once it's there, we can, of course, make our calls and try to move it as soon as possible through their review process.
Where's this company from?
Swanson, EPG out of
EP?
Harlingen.
Arlington? Okay. I noticed that the price is just kind of, way lower than the other two, so I was just, make sure I'll check references, make sure that they're reliable company.
We did, actually, EPG, as you noticed, they did the archaeological study for Esperanza del Rio, that's behind Sanchez Elementary. Very familiar with the area. The difference in the pricing was the amount of personnel that each firm has. Obviously, Rabbi Kisner is a large firm. They have high-level staff. But in the same way, EPG has the qualifications to do the project. They are registered with the Department of Interior, making them eligible.
Okay.
At this point, the staff recommends.
Yes.
We do, sir.
I so move, Mayor.
All right, we have a
Second.
motion to approve by Commissioner Ramirez, second by Commissioner Garza. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next business and orders item 4, executive session, chapter 551 in Texas Government Code section 551.071, consultation with attorney. This is letter A, consultation with city attorney regarding CJ Note 160513MU and 160540 regarding municipal court judge Leonel Lopez, section 551.071, Texas Government Code. And letter B, consultation with city attorney regarding status update and economic development agreement related to the St. Ives Development Project. under Chapter 380 of the Texas Local Government Code, Section 551.071 and Section 551.087 Texas Government Code. It is 6:25 p.m. All right, it's 7:31 p.m. We're back in session, or back from executive session. Have item 5A. There's no action on item 5A, which is discussion and possible action regarding CJC 160513MU and 160540MU regarding Municipal Court Judge Leonel Lopez, Section 551.071. There is no action on this item. And there's no action on item 5B, discussion and possible action regarding status update on economic development, agreement related to the St. Ives Development Project under Chapter 380 of the Texas Local Government Code, Section 551.071 and Section 551.087 Texas Government Code. This time, no action, items 5A and B, and have a motion to adjourn. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Ramirez, second by Commissioner Garza. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. It is 7:32 p.m.